Frequency is the precursor to creating your dream reality. And that is the purpose of life. That is our deepest desire as humans. Control the reality to as large an extent as possible while we're living here. Now, some people think it's reproduction, some people think it's autonomy or competence or money, and they're not far wrong. They are all still deep desires of humans, but they all still stem back to creating the reality in which we live in. And that's what we should all be trying to do here. Not live in this reality we've been programmed into, but deciding what do we want our dream reality to be and go and create our own truth. Now, when we go and do this, to feel the way we want to feel as humans, we have to understand that frequency is the only thing we can work on that we have full control of, and that will correlate exactly with what we achieve. So every single point of every day, the only thing really as a human we can do is focus on our frequency, and everything else will take care of itself. You can't take care of your dream reality, but what you can control is your frequency, which is the precursor. It's the input. Now, we can go one step deeper than that. We can go, okay, what is frequency? How do we control frequency? Well, the largest three components to frequency, if we analyze this at a very high level, but very simple, in fact, is energy. High frequency successful individuals have a lot of energy. They also have a lot of confidence. And three, they have exposure. They had something that was a contrast that woke them up to a bigger reality, and then they expose themselves to more of those individuals who are already living on that higher frequency. So what we essentially need to do all the time is make sure that every single moment in our lives is giving us more energy, more confidence, and exposing us to more higher frequency people. Most of the time, we're going to be focusing on the first two, and we'll be a bit more intentional with the part three. And how I see life, guys, is like it's essentially a game of snakes and ladders. Every single input is either a ladder, it's moving us and it's building us towards the dream reality we are trying to create, or it's a snake. It's breaking us, it's pulling us away from that reality. So we have to be very intentional with every single step we take, every single thought, belief, habit, action, decision we make. It serves us or it breaks us. There is no such thing on this planet by law as a neutral input. Every single input counts. Now, you may be sat here right now. I think we all have been at some point where we go, right, well, over the last 6 months, I've done so many good things, but I'm still stuck. I'm still in a pretty average position. I'm still not where I want to be. And yeah, that's true. You can do so many good things, but you can equally do so many bad things that are unaligned with that next level of frequency. And most of them are subconscious. They're your blind spots. You're not even aware of them. Maybe you've been hitting the gym a little bit more, okay? One of the big ones I had actually were, I used to understand that, right, I need more confidence. So I just focused only on confidence. And I was like, right, I'm going to train like a bodybuilder. I'm going to eat like a bodybuilder. I'm going to live like a bodybuilder. And yes, that took me up a ladder to an extent because it made me more confident. My aesthetic of my physique improved, but it also reduced my energy. It gave me brain fog. I couldn't focus. It didn't make me very competent for building a business. So it was taking me up a ladder and bringing me back down a snake. It didn't actually serve my higher frequency. Now, yes, a good body does, but only when it's done in a way where your nutrition, your training, your daily process is aligned with actually building the man, raising your energy, raising your frequency. So I had to come back to the drawing board and redesign how I structure all of my programs. But essentially, every input counts, and we have to become hyper self-aware. Sometimes you could be doing some good stuff that's a physical habit, but you also have many thoughts that don't serve you. Maybe it's fear, and you're scared of making that move. And you're thinking or feeling things from your current state that are unaligned from that next state. If we are going to become a high-frequency individual, we need to understand who is the version of us. So one, what is the dream reality we're all trying to create? It's all going to be slightly different. But if we just bring this back to simple levels, What's the house I want? What's the cars I want? What's the environment I'm in? Am I going to be in one place? Am I going to have multiple places? Like I'm split between Bali and Dubai. What is it going to look like? Do I have dogs? Do I have kids? What's my partner look like? How's she treating me? Do I provide for her? How do I show up for my family? Who am I hanging out with? What does my day look like? What does my business look like? What's my income? What's my cash flow like? We have to get very clear on that and pair that up with who do I need to be in order to have that? Okay? Don't just think about what you want. You must become emotionally connected with what you want, and then also emotionally connected with the version of you who has that. There is a version of you that is undeniable, and it's impossible not to have what you want because of their frequency, because of who they are. So for me to create this as my current dream reality, I built 2 7-figure coaching brands. I had to become a version of me where it's impossible not to have it. And I'm only going to continue to do that to go to the next level. It's a frequency game. So you have to get very clear on who do I need to become? What's my body going to look like? My mind, my skill sets. What's my business going to look like? What knowledge do I need to become aware of, right? And also, what do I just like doing in life? What's authentic to me? Because again, that's high frequency. It raises your energy. And when you are in that position, how do you operate? What does your day look like? And also, not just the habits and actions that you have aligned with that higher self, but what are the thoughts and the feelings you're having? Because you can have some of those habits, but if you're thinking the thoughts and feeling the feelings of your current reality in your senses right now, by default, you're disaligned and you have equally as many snakes as you do ladders. So you have to become hyper self-aware of that. So part 1 of becoming a high frequency person is understanding what is the dream reality we're trying to create? Who do I need to be? What are the thoughts, beliefs, feelings, habits, actions, how they make decisions? And let's become very hyper conscious of that so we can become hyper self-aware of ourselves at all times and align them to that. And then what we do is we tie this in to a daily process. Because another part about frequency is we have to understand that frequency doesn't just permanently change overnight. Okay? This is why success doesn't happen overnight, because frequency doesn't happen overnight, and frequency is the precursor. Now, yes, you can have a quick high frequency 5 minutes. I'm sure you've all felt that. But we need to be in that state all the times. You know, that's what's the key. I go out sometimes for dinner or to a bar or whatever to catch up with people. People go, "You're not drinking." No. They're like, "You look like you're having fun." Yeah. I feel like I'm on drugs all the time, but that's a frequency thing, okay? That's who we need to become. So when you're looking at this guy you need to be, you're not just looking at what he's doing, you're technically looking at his habits that create his frequency. The thoughts, the beliefs, the habits, the actions all dictate the frequency. So we can pull those right now and we can do those. So when we understand it doesn't happen overnight, what we need to realize is we need to focus on something daily. And it's going to be a compound effort. Your frequency should go like this, daily. Okay? Now, yes, you may have a quick spanner in the works because all as humans on planet Earth, we are trying to control and create reality, but there are some external forces, so we have to be absolutely bulletproof. So we may get little things thrown at us which are very difficult that we all face, but we continue forging our path through that. So what we want to do is we want to build a daily process that raises our frequency and guarantees growth. It compounds. We don't want to go another 6 months with some good, some bad, and we're averaging out the same in terms of frequency. We want to make sure that every day we are stacking compounds and also is on an exponential curve. And success is exponential because so is frequency. So your daily process, what does it look like at that level? And we bring it to now. Morning process. What do we need to do with our body? Maybe the training process, how we train, our nutrition, what foods we eat, how we have our macros set up, our nutrient timing, okay? How we have our mind in a good state. Maybe it's a morning process. I get my guys doing AM assumptions and alignment, get their mind aligned to the higher level, listening inwards, right? Skill sets, what do you need to be learning that's going to allow you to become that guy? Maybe it's mindset knowledge, but maybe it's also business knowledge and skills so you can build the business. So your daily process, it can't be sporadic. It has to be, I have a rule, by the way. If it's worth doing every day. Every day. Forget days of the week. It's all a psyop. They all end in fucking day. It's all made up. every single day you should be hitting a blueprint, a process that compounds growth. From your wake-up time, to your nutrition, to your training, to your business, like what high leverage tasks you're working on, from what time periods. If a fly was on the wall in your house, they should think this guy lives like a robot. And that doesn't mean it's boring. It's actually higher frequency than this sporadic life, because all of these habits are increasing your energy, raising your confidence, and exposing you to more. So we have to make sure our daily process harmonizes the body, the mind, the skills, the business, and your own authenticity of what you enjoy. That could be even something like you might like dogs or spending time with your family, or it could be you like driving supercars, so you may go out for half an hour and drive your supercar, or you may want to get in the sun, you enjoy the sun. Doesn't matter. But we need to make sure everything that serves us, we have in our daily blueprint every single day. So if I was to look at myself or any of my clients, whether they're elite or brand clients, it's going to look something like a wake-up time, which is going to allow us to have the most energy and stack the most wins. Okay, a morning process for the mind. It's going to have some reading for the mind. It's going to have training and nutrition, which serves mental performance and the physique we're trying to create to raise competence for how we operate, but also confidence in ourselves and respect from others. It's also going to have some time learning, exposure, and then times working on the business, on the high leverage tasks that are actually actioning the things that work, highly potent stuff, so we're extremely productive and the business grows daily. That's what we need to do. And then also a bit of the day where you're doing what you love, because again, that raises your energy. Now, one of the things I love, for example, and I analyze this all the time, and this is another point I was actually going to make, where you have to understand what are all the things in your life that do genuinely raise your energy. And there's no incorrect answer to this, really. If you're raising your energy, like, yes, that could be movement, it could be training, it could be nutrition, but it could also be, for example, content raises my energy. I like helping people. I like doing calls with clients. So I actually realized this not too long ago, and I was like, do you know what? I'm actually going to put back in consults. So obviously I have with my Black Room brand clients and my Black Room elite clients, like the guys who do the highest program, the one-on-one at a very high level with me, I really like that. So I actually opened up some more spaces and also opened up a private, people can now just book in for a private one-on-one coaching call, even without being in the program, because I just like helping people who want to help themselves. I like seeing people win. You know, I had a client the other day, and he sent me a message. He came off the call. He was like, Tom, I appreciate you so much. You know, you are one of the most impactful. By the way, this guy's going for a 5 million Q4 with his business. He was like, Tom, you have raised my frequency so much. I've spoken with so many high caliber individuals, but it's very special what you've allowed me to do. And it just raises my energy so much. And I was like, well, some people think, oh, time, if you spend an hour doing something and you spend an hour doing something else, it's the same. It's going to bring your energy down because it's later in the day. Your day isn't a battery. People think you start your day at 100, it goes to 0. No, you can do something. For example, have you ever gone and done cardio at like 5 p.m. or done a gym session at like 5 p.m. and then you come out the gym and you're higher energy? Yeah. What makes you higher energy? For me, I found that one of those things was doing things I love in the business, speaking with clients, helping clients, creating more growth for clients, whether it's in themselves, physically, mentally, or with their business, depending on the client and what they're working on. And I therefore put some more calls in my afternoon, some more slots for calls in my afternoon, because I realized it raises my energy. It gets me more creative. It gets me higher frequency. And I actually become more successful because I'm on a new frequency from this higher energy. And that brings new ideas to me, new thoughts to me, which are aligned to a new level. Because what you may not understand, you may have experienced this a little bit, is that when you raise your frequency, you receive things, you receive communication from your heart that weren't there before, but they were there before. You get this idea, and you could have had that idea your whole life, but you received it in that moment because your frequency was aligned with it. So we have to just do everything. When I tell people to go to the gym, get an elite shape, smash the daily process, it's not just to build an elite physique and mindset and to make money. It's to raise your frequency that allows you to create the dream reality. But as a byproduct, you're obviously going to be getting in great shape. You know, it's very surface level when people look at some of the transformations my performance coaching company has, and they just see it from an external. I'm like, no, that's just a byproduct of us working on the frequency, which allowed them to win, to leave their 9 to 5, to build a business. But they look like that because of the habits that also raise their frequency. Okay, so think about with yourself, what raises your frequency? Is it spending time with certain individuals that are maybe also very high frequency? Is it with family? Is it doing meaningful things? Is it driving the cars? Is it going on the yacht? Maybe it is going out a little bit. It's going to be different for every individual. You got to tap into your authenticity and think, what genuinely raises my energy if I'm non-biased? Opposed to that, though, we're talking about adding ladders. We've got this daily process, which is a set of ladders, which makes us grow every single day. We're then adding superchargers on what really authentically also increases our energy that we can put in a daily process again every day. But then we also have to realize that success is also by subtraction. We have to go, right, we're putting in these ladders, and you may even have some ladders right now, but there's too much subtraction. So maybe what thoughts and beliefs are you catching yourself having in the day at the minute, which just don't serve you? You're thinking from your current senses. We've got to reject those out of your conscious mind so they don't leak further into your subconscious mind. And we've got to reprogram in the thoughts and beliefs aligned from up here. That's part one of removing the snakes. The other thing is, like, what else in your day reduces your energy? Maybe you could have a 2-minute conversation with someone. So I just talked about you can have a 1-hour conversation with a client, for example, and you love it and it raises your energy. But you could have a 2-minute conversation with some low-frequency individual who's full of doubt and fear and isn't going after their potential, and you feel so low energy afterwards. You have to become aware of, did that make you feel low energy? Stop speaking to these people. Stop hanging around these people. Maybe it was you went on your phone and you were just going through your social media or watching the news. Remove everything that reduces your energy. So yes, we've got to put our foot on the accelerator with a daily process which grows the physique, the mind, the skill sets, the business, and your own authenticity. But we also need to remove the brake. Let's take the handbrake off. Let's remove the people from our lives. I think when it comes to environment, we have to go into a period of isolation. We have to go into a period of, right, I'm going to have to remove low frequency people, so I'm just controlling my own frequency. But there's no brakes. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to supercharge it with the third part of frequency, which is exposure. And usually you've got to do this virtually. You're not going to be the guy yet to be in the room with them all just naturally. So, and I do this all the time. I pay to play. I go, right, who's a high frequency individual, i.e. who's someone who's become successful in something I want to become successful in, right? Or has a piece of knowledge or something I need to know. And I just pay them. It may be a program, it may be a mastermind, it may be a consult call. I've spent hundreds of thousands over the years in consultancy and coaching to basically, I've isolated from the lower frequency and the guys more at my level and below. I'm on my own, so now I don't have the brakes. I've just got my daily process growing me. And then I supercharge that with higher frequency to pull me up and just try and adopt their mental syntax, their belief systems, their skills, their knowledge from that higher frequency. And then once I've compounded that long enough, my isolation and habits with a higher exposure to a higher frequency, when I've compounded that long enough and kept growing, I've just become a higher frequency individual, and now I'm getting in those rooms without paying to play. And this is something I think a lot of people try and cut out and fast track and try and avoid, but they're always the guys that are stuck. It's something that you just can't avoid, unfortunately. But I don't think it's unfortunately, it's fortunately. I love again, this is another thing. One of the things that raises my energy is improving my competence. That makes me more confident. They interlink, right? Now, when you invest in yourself, when you put your money where your mouth is and you go, right, I'm invested in myself. Like whenever I go all in on myself, and I put, not even long ago, like another 20,000 into something. This morning, I just spent 2,000 on just a quick call with someone. And as soon as I do that, I'm like, I back myself. That's why I'm doing this. It's like a self-respect, and it raises my energy so much. So I actually found that one of the things that raises my frequency is just investing in myself more. How can you be a high frequency individual if you don't invest in yourself? You're saying, I'm worthless. You are the only person which is going to get you where you want to be. You're the vehicle, your body and your mind. So show respect to it. That's another thing on a side note. But yeah, we got to subtract everything hit the daily process aligned with this version of ourselves, and then expose ourselves to more virtually, whether it's in a program and it's the weekly calls or the program we're following or the one-on-one calls, it doesn't matter. Expose yourself to more. That's how you're really going to raise your frequency, guys. And on top of that, when you know what you're doing and you have clarity, again, clarity is the most important thing. If you don't have that, you won't be confident, you'll have low energy, you'll doubt yourself. That's all disaligned from here. But once you've got the clarity on what you need to do, then what you need is to just do everything you said you were going to do. Everything. Your word should be complete iron. When you say you're going to do it, you fucking do it. Stack the wins. Every win you stack is raising your aura. It's raising your frequency. And you are going up that exponential curve. So every time every day, I've got a whiteboard over there. And I've got all my daily habits. And I've got my blueprint for my business. And I've got my blueprint for myself. Because I need to grow and so does my business. And they both go up together. I go up and I'm obsessed. I've got a blue pen and I just tick through everything every day. Every tick every day compounds my frequency, right? So get obsessed with stacking the wins. Get obsessed with doing hard things. Sometimes, guys, you'll face a roadblock. You'll face something very difficult, but the roadblock is the way. You know, all of these obstacles you come to in the world, and most people, all of the white sheep, they go this way. They swerve it. That lowers their frequency. They just took... this is the roadblock on the path. You have to go through the fucking roadblock to take the path. The roadblock is the way. And that raises your frequency when you back yourself and you do the difficult thing. And you just knew you did the thing whilst everyone else swerved away. You just beat the competition. These are all ways that you're going to increase your frequency, guys. Understanding exactly what you want, understanding exactly who you need to be, getting around more people who are higher frequency, locking in a daily process that grows all areas. You don't want one that grows some, but not others. It should harmonize the body, the mind, the skills, the business, and your authenticity. When you are really mastering all of those things every day, guys, you are going to become an extremely high frequency individual. And you just simply have to focus on compounding it every day. One side note I would also say is when it comes to building your business, make sure you build it around something that you're passionate about. Because another thing is, if you're passionate about it, you love it, it's authentic to you, what's it going to do? It's going to raise your energy. You're going to show up. Business can be hard at some points, guys. And you got to be so in love with what you do, you've always got the energy and confidence to show up when other people drop out. You know, sometimes people who are just in the game for money, they fall out. Because it gets tough. The people who are obsessed, the people who will love it, they're playing in a different game. They're still becoming higher frequency, even in the darkest moments. Let's go get it, guys. That's how you become a high frequency individual. You can't cheat code this other than doing exactly what I said. Let's go.